Boy, oh boy, as we predicted, I told you the El Clasico was on the 27th. Many people were like, what is the El Clasico? What is the fuss all about? I told you guys, when you don't give Mr. Bean for Pakistan, for Zimbabwe, they will come back haunting you. And exactly, the Mr. Bean rivalry is won by Zimbabwe. Yesterday the entire rivalry was built up, and extra bit of tadka actually was put up by Zimbabwean fans when the whole Mr. Bean controversy came in. But come on, this had to be one of the biggest upsets or one of the biggest results of this year's T20 World Cup, and which also means Pakistan maintained their nil percentage record in Australia. They haven't yet won a game in Australia in T20 eyes. Oh my God, whatever. Jokes apart, Zimbabwe, man, you got my salute. What a game, what a performance. Bradley Evans, my God, I can in Garava, I can take names and actually stand up and clap for you all. It was just wonderful bit of cricket, lovely performance. Your thoughts? We got Aisha over here already, but then Jen, your thoughts on this?
Man, and what a match! It's I think two rivals now that Pakistan have lost to. This one's gonna really hurt. We saw, when the camera panned to the Pakistani camp, even when, even before the first ball was in ball, right after Nawaz's wicket, you could see the distraught faces sitting there. Babar Azam in complete and utter shock. I think that India loss really is what carried through here as well. I mean, there was some remnants of it. You saw even, Zimbabwe got to a flyer in the power play, and we haven't seen that kind of start in this year's World Cup for any team. Because power play has been one of the most toughest phases for teams to face this time around. The way they started off, it seemed like Pakistan was going to get, Pakistan was really going to get rolled over, but luckily, or not luckily rather, but great bowling from Mohammad Wasim Jr., who brought them back, screaming, brought them back, screaming back into the match. And from there, you felt like Pakistan had their control because, regardless, Perth is still a very good pitch to bat on, even though, I mean, it's a decent pitch to bat on, I would say, because obviously there is a pace and bounce. It's a bit spicy, the wicket. We've seen, what happened to Afghanistan, what Afghanistan did to England almost, and today also we saw what South Africa, for instance, did to Bangladesh, were utterly destroyed in the early, match in the morning. But what really went for, I mean, what really went for Zimbabwe was the fact that their pacers, the two tall fast bowlers, Ngawa and Muzabani, two of them were incredible. What they did amazingly well is that Pakistan, for instance, did not understand the length on which to bowl on this pitch. They're bowling way too full in the power play overs, maybe trying to get a bit of swing. But that's where I think they faltered. The moment was Mohammad Wasim Jr. started bowling a bit more, he took his length a bit more, back of the length, good lane delivery. That's when the ball was starting to do a bit. And that's where, but that is a lesson that Zimbabwean fast bowlers learned very well when they came to ball in the second half. You saw how Rizwan and Babar really struggled against that kind of bowling because they did not give them anything up ahead. Everything was, chest to waist, height. They made batsmen play, and Babar Azam got out to a beauty for that very reason.
Absolutely.
Even
To be
Rizwan,
very honest, we will talk about it, I think, before we move further ahead. To be very honest, I thought 130 was a below par score on Perth. I did mention to you, Jaren, that if there's going to be one game where Pakistan is going to be really trouble, it's going to be a game in Perth because
yeah, yeah,
the Pakistanis have been having a struggle against bounce, and today it was exposed even more, especially in that wicket where Zimbabwean bowlers were spot on. But I thought Zimbabwe got off to a very good start, but still they fell apart. They fell apart in big time. Right, they still could have scored 150. 150 was a par on this wicket. You saw in the Australia versus Sri Lanka game as well. You needed 150 to 160 to really stay in the hunt, which I thought Zimbabwe did not. That's what I thought. They just gave the game away to Pakistan. Sikandar Raza, though I admire him a lot, I'll talk about his bowling exploits. I think he's a superstar with the ball, but with the bat, that particular shot which he played in that particular situation was totally unnecessary. That's where
yeah,
Zimbabwe started falling apart. But then with the ball, they made sure they did not give any freebies, not even a
yeah,
single freebie. The momentum they set up first up, the over they ball to Babar and Rizwan first up, they did not give any
yeah,
freebies. Rizwan, the first ball, Rizwan got to him. It nipped in, and that's where Pakistani started feeling it. This is
yeah,
not going to be an easy chase, but picking up Babar and Rizwan in the power play was the exact template of what they needed. Then Iftikhar they got, then there was a brief partnership of 50 odd runs between Shadab and Shan, where Pakistan felt like they are cruising on, but then that's where Raza became Sikandar, and that's where he was like, he is
Yeah.
like, this is where I'm going to show why am I the best player of this team. He came
And
on
I
World
think
Cup.
the
He got hit
irony
for
is
the
the
six.
fact
Remember that? He got hit.
that, yeah, I mean, the irony is the fact that Sikandar Raza claims his roots in Pakistan. So just that bit more spice to this whole, man of the match performance from Sikandar Raza.
आई थिंक आयशा पनौती होता तो तुम लोग जीत जाते हैं क्योंकि जब तक नहीं बना
Yeah, I think Sandipan is not here today, so you cannot
या
definitely blame him for it.
या डेफिनेटली क्या होता है कि अभी बहुत कुछ होने वाला है अभी लोग भी बोल रहे हैं कि बाबर आजम को स्टेप डाउन करना चाहिए अब नाउ पाकिस्तानी मीडिया गोना गो mad and berserk over
Yeah,
this right
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what's awaiting Pakistan and on the other end of the ship but now where do you see this for Zimbabwe this is going to be one of the historical results let me remind you a stat Zimbabwe has got 3 wins in Australia Pakistan have not yet won a single game in Australia and
Yeah.
remember this result means they're hanging by the smallest of margins or the smallest of threats in the World Cup. Now they have to hope all the results goes in their favor. They're virtually knocked out because this is one result they did not want to go in there against their
Yeah,
favor. And
I think
as I mentioned, this was going to be the El Clasico where everybody had to have their eye upon, and rightly so. This turned out to be one of the best matches of the tournament. I know India versus Pakistan is still at number one, but Pakistan will say another rival which we have sparked in over Mr. Bean and all those things over the last one thing. But let me be very honest, Jaren, the Zimbabwean performance. Let's talk about Muzarbani out there. He was breathing fire there. That pace, the way in which
absolutely.
he was bouncing them off, the lengths he hit, I would like to give it to him. And also Engarava, I know he went for a maximum in the second last over, but then his over to Mohammad Wasim Jr. was so crucial. His lengths were spot on. How do you rate that?
Yeah, and that's I think I'll just draw our the reference to what we discussed early on. When we did a preview of this World Cup, we told that Pakistan will struggle on pitches where it's going to bounce. It's going to be the pace is going to be a lot more faster than what Pakistan is used to, and that's what's happened this World Cup, especially today. Today's Perth pitch. This pitch there's something in this pitch, and brave call from Craig Irvine to decide to bat first. Because that's not a template you see in modern T20 anymore. But he went with the fact that this pitch chasing is very difficult. We've seen this throughout the World Cup. That was a very brave call, and that's what actually went their way. I think if Zimbabwe was chasing, they wouldn't have won this match. But because they were bowling second, they had the best chances. And you saw the moment the ball was pitched up, Pakistan looked a very good team when they were
Yeah,
batting. The moment
yeah,
the length was behind, back of the length or good length, that's where they really struggled. Today we
mm,
saw, for instance, Mohammad Wasim when he hit that six, or Nawaz when he hit that Mohammad Wasim when he hit that boundary, and or Mohammad Nawaz when he hit that six. You saw those balls were either a full toss or a full end delivery.
yeah, yeah,
Craig, I think it was Brad who was bowling the last over. Brad
yeah.
Evans. He made the
Brad,
mistake of bowling a slower delivery first up ahead. The field was towards the leg side, and there was no one to stand in front of long off region, long on region. Everyone was deep mid
I
off.
thought that was a very good risk. They knew,
Yeah,
but
but
first ball he missed his length. I thought even in that majority
but
of the over he
after
was trying to
that,
miss his length.
yeah,
That
yeah,
slow ball which he balled to Mohammad Wasim Jr. I thought that was a very bad idea, especially
yeah,
Mohammad Wasim Jr. was getting troubled by pace, but then he hit the hard length in the if I remember
yes,
in
yes,
the third ball and also in the fourth ball. Oh no, the fourth ball and the fifth ball where he hit the hard length when Nawaz was beaten for pace, and the second last ball again the same length. That's where the mid on, that's where the long on and the mid off comes into play, right? If you're going
correct.
to keep a mid off up in the circle with that length, you can't get the elevation because there's always going to be extra bounce and extra pace of the wicket, which I thought with the height in which Brad Evans was bowling, he was able to generate, and he was generating some serious pace out there. And I have to give credit to him. The plan's execution was spot on. They bowled as per their field. They did not try to do anything extravagant. They
Yeah.
knew Pakistanis were going to struggle if they're going to pitch the ball a little bit shorter. And that was the thing. We did discuss about this way before the World Cup. If Pakistan are going to be struggling, they're going to struggle in the short pitch bowling. Rizwan did not look the part at all. I know Babar Azam is a class player, but Rizwan has been really
I
struggling,
think
to be very
Yeah, I mean, you
honest.
can't blame Babar Azam as well because he got out to a beauty. That's something that 9 out of 10 batsmen will. The ball, it was angling in. The ball slightly moved away. That's not easy for any batsman to play because they are hoping to cover the inside edge, and the ball took the outside edge away. But Rizwan, he did not look the part at all. And that's what we spoke again, before the World Cup. We did speak about how Rizwan's records in Australia are dismal, and it's been a terrible start from this World Cup as well. Today's pitch was that bit of spicy, and the new ball is always going to do a bit, and that's where I think Pakistan lost the trick, lost the plot. They should have really balled those lengths that they balled to India, for instance. The ball to India it was excellent lengths. That the way they got KL Rahul out, the way they got Rohit Sharma out, those lengths were brilliant. But what we saw today, they were bowling a lot more fuller, and that's where they kind of, the batsmen really were able to get them away and get them out, because this is a pitch which is not swinging in the air. This is a pitch which is seaming off the pitch. And that's where, Zimbabwe, what they did is brilliant. Even the dismissal of Mohammad Rizwan, the ball nipped back in, and he wanted to play the late cut, and they had nothing. I mean, he had no angle to play that shot. So that's where I think it was kind of where, you kind of felt like Pakistani batsmen were, for the lack of skill, maybe is the reason why you would, they couldn't play the pace and the bounce. And
I mean,
all three fast bowlers.
skill is definitely a concern. But for example, Shan Masood, that's why you give him credit. He was really good on the majority of the innings. He didn't look troubled at all, and he was cruising when he was batting. He was not in the boundaries, but that's doubles, his conversion rate of singles and doubles, that was just ideal in that situation. But it was Sikandar Azad's magic which had to come into play. I thought Haider Ali has been very poor for them. Today's that team combination is something which I'd appreciate Pakistan, but at the same time, I really thought Haider Ali was awfully poor, throughout the course of the tournament. Last match also, you saw he came in and threw away his wicket. Today, I thought he should have shown more of proactiveness, especially coming up against Sikandar Raza, who's got so much of variations. And even Shadab, Shadab, at that point of stage, after you hit a maximum, you didn't have to go for one more. I know you wanted to kill the game, but then you see at the end of the day where the result has gone, right? The result has just gone against you in the worst
Also,
possible
because
manner.
there wasn't any, scorecard pressure. And I understand you want to keep that net run rate out, but you should only do that
Wait,
when you feel,
to be
I
very
think
honest,
that's
for Pakistan, net run rate shouldn't have been a concern today because they have a lot more issues to deal with. Let's talk about them not won a single game in Australia in their history, especially in
yeah,
T20 cricket. So they had to
yes,
get that monkey off the back, number one. So get a win today, reset, reboot. It's okay if it's a scratchy win, but getting 2 points is massive in the World Cup. Now what? You're 0-2. Now you have a mountain, you have an Everest to climb right now. You will hope that South Africa loses to India, South Africa loses to
correct.
you. At the same time, South Africa's net run rate, which they have won by 5 point, I think their
In,
net run rate is in +5. So which
yeah,
means
yeah,
they'll have
it
to
was
get
today they
hammering
won
from South
by a
Africa.
net run rate of 2.5 plus against
So
Bangladesh.
no, they've got a net run rate of +5,
No, I'm saying
5.1.
today's match, they have won with a much more. Yeah, sorry. Rather, Bangladesh has the net run rate of minus 2.5. But yeah,
Yeah. They've got a
correct,
net rate of
correct,
5.2
correct. Yeah,
more or more. So which means South Africa will have to lose the next two games by 100 or in excess of runs. And now it's almost you're virtually knocked out. This is it. This could possibly be the end of Pakistan's campaign. I really expected them to have a very big campaign, but this has been real disappointment. But let's talk about Zimbabwe, right? I think we have to give credit to Zimbabwe. Enough, and I think we can dissect Pakistan as much as we can, but then it's just unfair on Zimbabwe as well. The kind of performance they have
yeah,
put on because one player, Sikandar Raza, let's talk about him. 8 wickets, 145 runs this World Cup. He's really owned this World Cup. We talk about Virat Kohli on the other end, but this man has really helped them. He's had a great season so far. 600 plus runs this year with the bat. Remember that. And his variation has been spot on. He's got everything in the armory.
yeah. And the timing that he uses those variations, that's what's very important about variations. You cannot just keep throwing them out randomly. That doesn't help you at all as a bowler. You need to pick your balls, which deliveries to go with. And I really love the fact that, he never, what he does really well is the fact that he balls at back of the length, and he balls the ball a lot faster. So the teams are not able to step out and hit him over the top. What you usually see spinners go out. What you usually see is a spinner's biggest threat. Another thing that he did really well is he has his presence of mind. He's a very clever cricketer. He picks his moments. And today, what a moment he picked up. When he was bowling the 14th over, till that time, Pakistan were cruising. I mean, they were pretty much done and dusted with the match. That's what it looked like. They were 80 for three with 51 to win or 42 deliveries, and that on any pitch, whatever the condition, maybe you do back yourself to score. In Pakistan, having 7 wickets in the kitty, Pakistan is a team which can bat till number 10 easily. Even Harris Roth, Shaheen Shah Afridi, they can hit the long ball. So in that situation to come and get those 2 wickets and 2 crucial wickets, especially Shadab Khan, because he is one player I rate very highly with the bat. Because unlike some of the other Pakistani players in that lineup, I think he's got a very good head on his shoulders. He's smart, he's calculated. But today his risk did not pay off. But Haider Ali disappointed. What Sikandar Raza did really well was to make sure that he balled the ball straight at the stumps, and that's what you do to a new batsman. That's the best possible chance, and that's what he did. But Haider Ali, a very average shot. He played all around that ball. It was a tail ender shot, to be very honest,
Hmm.
and deservedly Sikandar Raza's wicket. From there on, the match just turned, and it shouldn't have still. 5 wickets in hand, you could have still chased the target down.
One might say this is the Zimbabwean curse of not sending Roland Atkinson to Zimbabwe as Mr. Bean. And it looks like one of theirs, Zimbabweans were pumped up. And let's talk about Zimbabwean fan support. It just looked like a football game. They were singing songs. The fan support was up there, and I was really, really taken aback. Usually, you see Asian teams getting that kind of support, but Zimbabweans, man, they really traveled to Perth to support their team, and they have them on their back. That's why Pakistan has also felt pressure. There was real pressure which was mounting from the stands as well on the Pakistani batters. But let's talk about, especially if you have to talk about Zimbabwe and the entire team at large, the final over, right? We did speak about it in brief. How would you have defended? Because you just had Lemon in the kitty. Nawaz has been doing excellently well for Pakistan in the recent past of finishing games for them. He has been one of their designated finishers as well. How do you maintain the nerve, especially after the first ball going for 3 runs?
I think I really feel for Nawaz because today could have been a day, he could have turned things around after what happened in the India match. You felt like it could, and if he had finished it off, it would have been a great way to go out. But you have to realize, Mohammad Nawaz isn't still a pure batsman. You don't, yes, he's a very good batsman at the end of the innings. He's a very handy player, but I still wouldn't rate him as, highly as maybe a Shadab Khan or a Haider Ali, for instance, because these batters, I think Mohammad Nawaz is more of a bowling all rounder
Yeah.
rather than a pure all rounder as such. So today, I
Mm.
think, and it's fair enough, the length that the ball that was being balled at him,
I mean,
the
remember,
speed
he was
is
not even
pace.
used as a bowler today, and which means that from the last game, they've
Yeah,
lost total confidence in him as a
that was
bowler.
very, that was very absurd from Babar Azam, I would say, because you need to give that kind of confidence to him. I mean, there was I love the talk that he gave in the post India match, and you felt like this Pakistan
I
team is
love that
fighting.
talk, but then he shouldn't have pointed out Nawaz's name in there. Nawaz, that didn't make any sense for me. Especially Nawaz
No,
too,
but I mean,
Chintamatkar.
he did give him confidence in the dressing room, but if you don't give him that
He did,
confidence
but
on the
then
pitch,
when you say you collectively lose, you don't have to point out a player in the end saying that Nawaz to Chintamatkar. That did not make any sense to me. I know, but still, I'll appreciate Babar Azam. He's really brought this unit together. But now, people are already saying what was
but
Matthew
then
Hayden doing as a
my
batting coach.
question being, I mean, I know people are going to question Babar Azam's captaincy, but I really don't know if that's the problem here. I feel it's more about Pakistan's ability to play in Australia. And
Yeah.
to Shinwari's point, I think you can't blame Matthew Hayden either, because there's so much a coach can do in 1 month or so.
To be
Matthew
honest,
Hayden's just,
Matthew Hayden absolutely,
he's a
absolutely.
batting consultant for them. Is he a batting coach? I don't think he's a
Yeah,
batting
he's a
coach.
batting consultant for
He's
this
a batting
particular tournament.
consultant for
Just
them
for this
in
tournament.
Australia. So
Yeah.
it is almost equivalent to what For example, a power hitting, not even a power hitting coach, but maybe what MS Dhoni's role was in the previous T20 World Cup for India. And Matthew Hayden is only there to give them the tips, but he can't really mold these players in the span of the amount of time he's had with them. Maybe if
Hmm.
Pakistan keep him as a batting coach for a year or so, then we can question, or maybe not in a year, but half a year or so, you can actually question how much he has improved this team. But
Hmm.
in this small amount of time, he's just for this tournament, he's been appointed. So I think you can't actually raise questions at Matthew Hayden.
Hmm. And I'll say one thing, Aisha over here. I'll just respond to this, and also I'll come to the other comments on the way. I think we did discuss way before this tournament. We did discuss when that English, right after Asia Cup. This Pakistani batting in Australia are going to struggle mainly because of their inability to play on bouncy surfaces. Babar Azam could be the only sole player who's good
Yeah.
on the back foot. He's got the pull shot in his armory. And Shan Masood is another player who I found very impressive. I know Iftikhar has a very good record, but let me be very honest. He does struggle against a quality ball, bouncing him out. So that's where I thought even someone like an Iftikhar was not good enough. Then middle order had a huge hole, especially for this tournament. They were really playing with makeshift players. Shadab Khan needs to be promoted up the order to take on the spinners. But in Australia, there will be days when you will face these kind of conditions. Against India, I thought they did a very good job, and that's also Indians. I thought India should have been more proactive in not letting them score 160. That was just inability from
Yeah.
India's part. That could have just been 140. A couple of blows from Shaheen and Harris off towards the end.
I think
Really
that
took the score
19th
there.
over curse sort
Yeah,
of caught up with India.
kind of it's, I would say that's one of the reasons why they got to 160. But other than that, to be very honest, even in that game they had a collapse after losing first couple of wickets from 91. They lost 5 wickets in a quick succession of 16 runs. So that's what I believe. For Pakistan, there was major holes leading into the World Cup, and nobody was there to fill it. Now you're looking at Fakhar Zaman. Even if you wanted to bring Fakhar Zaman's record against short pitch bowling was bad. His strike rate, his coming down to 110 against balls which are pitch short, and he has been dismissed close to 10 times to balls which are pitched short. That I'm talking about in Asian conditions. Now let's talk about a team which is going to go to Australia to play in Perth. Uh, Melbourne was a tough surface. Let's be very honest. The ball was nipping around. Perth was not going to be an easy surface at all. But at least in Perth, you're facing Zimbabwe and not South Africa. So that's where I thought Pakistan are better suited. They got a better opposition at least to play in Perth. No disrespect to Zimbabwe. And today they showed. If you have good pace bowlers who can hit the ball, hit the deck hard, you can trouble any batters in the world. And that's what they did. They got Babar and Rizwan early, and Pakistan were exposed completely. Even though Shadab and Shan tried to build a small partnership when the spinners were in operation. But again, when the Pacers came into attack, they started struggling. So I would say Pakistan, this problem is not now. It's not over the World Cup. This should have been anticipated by all the Pakistani fans. I don't know. Now you people are calling for Babar Azam's head. I think it's way too early to do it. I think he's done a good job, but at the same time, his tactical
Yeah.
thoughts are poor. Today, I thought a combination of what they played is what they should have played against India as well, because Mohammad Wasim Jr. coming into the team makes them a very potent bowling lineup. Now, where did they lose the game against India? But not having the six baller. Today, they had proper six ballers. And that's why they lost the game against India. They should have been more proactive with that. So that's already -1 down for Babar Azam. And today was a day where he should have really told the batting unit to step up and take the owners, which he did not. And which means that Pakistan are almost on their way out. I really don't think Pakistan have got a chance. Natasha, answering your question, it's very tough for Pakistan. A lot of permutations and combinations have to go their way. I would say Zimbabwe has a higher chance than Pakistan at this
Yeah,
moment.
exactly. Zimbabwe is
With,
tied for points with Africa right now. And if South
yeah,
Africa
because you are not
loses to
yet off
India,
the mark, and Zimbabwe are 3 points ahead of you, which means you have to get
yeah,
two
yeah.
wins under your belt. I know Netherlands and Bangladesh are easy wins for the liking, but let me be very honest. This lose is going to really take a hampering. We spoke about India in the last World Cup, but India lost to two quality teams. India lost to a very strong Pakistan team and New Zealand team who went on to play the finals. But here you have lost to Zimbabwe, who are still not up to your mark. You are one of the best teams in the tournament. You have been one of the best teams in T20 format over the last couple of years. You are the World Cup semi-finalist of the last World Cup. But here you are losing to a team out of nowhere. But Jen, let me ask you this question, right? For
Yeah.
Pakistan, what's the way ahead? Because it's not going to be easy. As we spoke about, Netherlands is their next game. Comparatively very easy, as we spoke about Zimbabwe. But it should be a win for them, is what I believe, against Netherlands at least. But how do they take this on? Because it's not easy. It's not easy, as we mentioned, to take a loss like this. The batting group has really let down.
Well, Evil, next up, I think Pakistan's next match is against Netherlands again in Perth.
Yeah,
And I'll be honest, Perth, Netherlands have a very good fast bowling attack. I mean, Zimbabwe shouldn't be underrated as well because you have three bowlers who can bowl at express pace. I don't think there are many teams, even India, for instance, doesn't have three bowlers in their lineup 11 right now who can bowl the pace that these three bowlers are bowling.
yeah.
But I mean, also, Netherlands, they have a very good fast bowling attack. And if this is the case that we saw against Pakistan, I mean, against Zimbabwe, I think Pakistan would be right to be nervous against Netherlands as well. I know India played them out today again. I mean, India really played them out, and it was a comprehensive win for India. But you have to realize that Indian batters, they love this kind of pitches. I mean, and they were very good today. Obviously, Rohit Sharma's drop catch could have changed the game around anywhere. It could have gone anywhere if Rohit Sharma's catch was taken. But
I really don't
because it
think
was not,
so. To be very
yeah, but
honest,
Netherlands would have had a better chance. It would have been this comprehensive of defeat. That's my point. I mean,
yeah.
match they could have taken the game away from India, but that's a very slim chance. But my point being, Netherlands is not going to be an easy opposition to beat in these
Mhm.
conditions, especially because they're playing in Perth. And they sort of, I mean, I'm sure whenever Babar Azam and his team is going to step out to play a next match, they're going to be a lot very nervous because
Yeah,
Pakistani media and the fans, from what we're seeing in our comments already, you can see that they are shocked
there's a
and
rage. There's a definite
there is a
rage.
lot of rage. And this team is the World Cup is not done yet. They have three more matches to go. So next match being against Netherlands in Perth is going to be a difficult one. But if they win that and if they do well in that match, then I think from there on they'll get slightly a bit of confidence. And you never know, this World Cup is just bringing up a surprise after surprise. And that's one thing about this World Cup. I think 2021 World Cup was a bit of a downer. This
Yeah,
one has been a blockbuster so far, and
yeah, absolutely. This has been one of the
you
best
never
World Cups.
know. I mean, there could be an upset somewhere waiting for India or for
Yeah,
South
yeah.
Africa still.
I mean, what this World Cup has done is that the conditions has evened out, which means there's an equal
Yeah,
contest
yeah,
between bat and ball. Last World Cup there was just one template: win the toss, bat second, and chase any score down, which was becoming very boring, very one-dimensional. Even the smaller teams not even get a chance to even compete with the bigger ones.
yes,
But
yes,
here, with smaller teams also having conditions same as other ones, which means there is an equal contest between bat and ball. Asian teams, so any team can struggle on a day. You saw England struggling against Ireland. You saw Bangladesh. You saw even, for example, the likes of even Sri Lanka put up a fight against Australia. It was a
So
very close
Bangladesh
game of
fought
Afghanistan versus
against
England.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Netherlands were defeated very closely. I mean, anything could have been different in that
So
match as well.
conditions
Yeah,
have really played its part. And Ashik is saying that there was no aggressive batters. See what Pakistan could have done today was only to drop Asif Ali. Asif Ali's dismissal in the last game did send tremors across the Pakistani camp because he looked very vulnerable against short pitch bowling. And you saw that even in the warm up games. You saw that even in the series in Pakistan where Asif Ali was facing huge trouble with the short pitch bowling. He was just ducking it, which means you're not
yeah,
even
yeah. You
facing the
saw
ball.
that. I mean, it's not something you see every day where a Zimbabwean fast bowler troubles a Pakistani batsman, because Pakistani batsmen are used to playing such pace.
Yeah.
But and he's a pure batsman. He's supposed to be a pure, but it's what as a tail ender shot that the ball just lobbed up. It was lucky if that. And there were two instances, I think, if I'm not wrong, in that match, in that over itself, where the ball
Yeah.
lobbed up. I think one went to the keeper, one just fell in front of the bowler. If those two, or if either of them had been taken, match would have been ended even more faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be very honest, I have to say that for the likes of Asif Ali, at least, there is a school of thought who thinks he should have got continuity going into this tournament. One game does not decide, but then this has been a pattern for Asif Ali. He's a very good striker when the ball is pitched up, but when the ball is pitched short at a good pace, he struggles against it. And though he claims to be hitting 156ers in the nets, but when it comes to the match, it's a different ball game. Pressure really gets to you, and you saw that in the English series as well. He was struggling in his own backyard, where the pitches were very slow compared to it. And I also will blame Pakistan over here because the pitches what they gave for the English series was just not good enough for this team to really
Yeah,
prepare. I
yeah,
told you in New Zealand the pitches were totally different. This was the slowest ever New Zealand surface which I've seen and even the crick whiz record, which I was checking, was the slowest New Zealand surface in the last 1 decade. So, which means the ball was really not coming onto the bat. That's why Pakistan were totally in the game. Spinners were able to be played out better. Fast ballers, you had enough time to play them out. So that was not the ideal practice for Pakistan even coming into this World Cup. And in the World Cup, what happened? You had a awful game against England where your bowling got exposed. The next game, you not get to bat enough against Afghanistan. Even there, I don't know what could have possibly happened if Afghanistan would
yeah,
have picked up a couple of wickets. You don't know what would have happened because Afghanistan did post 153 in Gabba. Here, first match against India, you saw what happened. When the ball is nipping out, you had a partnership, which is a very good sign. But today was a real test against quality 140 clicks paces, where your batting was going to get exposed with steep bounce. Your batting did get exposed. But now I don't know what's awaiting Pakistan. South Africa is not going to be an easy challenge. I know it's going to be played in Sydney and everything else, but South Africa are looking at team to beat in this tournament at this point. They've got off to a very good start. They're raging after that no result against Zimbabwe. They really want victory. Today you saw Riley Russo's innings was one of the best innings in the World Cup history.
yeah.
He meant a lot for them, and you saw the pace bowling attack as well. They were bowling quick. Rabada, Nokia, Wayne Parnell, they're a team to beat. I'm really worried about India as well now going into that game on 30th.
Absolutely.
It's on the same wicket which just played
Yeah,
game today, and it's
yeah,
not gonna be
yeah.
easy for any team coming up against the African unit. So for Pakistan, it's a tough road ahead. I think Pakistan can really reboot from here on. Look for batters who can really come in the middle order because this World Cup was a tough one for Pakistan. Let's all be very honest. We all did predict in this very show
Yeah,
that Pakistan are not going to make it out of the group. and it was very obvious. But I did not expect them to lose to Zimbabwe. But at the same
Hmm.
time, it was tough for them to make it out of the group, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we expected them to. I mean, probably India's when we did say India's match would be very close, but we expected them to pretty much still end up because India were stronger favorites playing in Australia, and South Africa is one team you would expect to steamroll Pakistan again. But Zimbabwe, there was a surprise, and the reason because for that is because Zimbabwe has been a surprise package as well. Their fast bowlers have all come out and said that they love bowling in Australia, and today they showed that that these bowlers can really be a threat if the pitch is bouncy, the pitch is pacey, because they're tall, fast bowlers, and their bowlers were extremely accurate. We saw Muzarabani and Evans, and also Ngrava, who bowled tight lengths. I think only one mistake that I saw in the last 5 overs was when Ngrava tried to ball the Yorker on the pads, and it ended up becoming a half full. I mean, it ended up becoming a low full toss. Aside from that, Pakistan couldn't really do anything about it, and but I mean, it just felt like they did realize that the silver bullet against Pakistan is back of the lens short delivery, and they just capitalized on it. And I've not even seen India do that to Pakistan. That is what was really surprising. It just seemed like they came prepared. They had complete. They were really ready against this Pakistan team. They had plans against the Pakistan team, and they executed it brilliantly. I mean, I would say one thing though. Zimbabwe, the only thing they would be a bit upset about is the fielding. There were some areas, where the throw went to the wrong end, and for example, the ball that went to the boundary rope, right, which is actually a turning point in the match,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
Craig Irvine chased after delivery, saved one
yeah.
run, and that's how Pakistan, lost the match. But
Yeah,
there, I
and
think
remember that even there, the wicketkeeper took its time to collect the ball. There was a lot of
yeah,
pressure that
in
the
the
hard
last
ball
ball.
was right up there. I
But I
thought
think
some
back then
fielding
you
could have
knew
been
that
better.
you already that second run was almost futile. You knew
But
it.
I would still blame Zimbabwe's ground fielding. But when it comes to the
Yeah, I
catches,
mean,
they were spot on. They did not drop any.
yeah,
They
yeah.
collected all the catches, especially Shadab's catch under pressure was not easy. Babar's catch was important there. So they caught whatever
Nawaz's
came their
catch
way.
at that in that pressure situation,
Yeah,
he
to
had
be honest,
taken it
yes. And
awkwardly, the hands behind his
yeah,
back. But
absolutely.
my point being, in that ball that went to the fence, the person who was chasing, I don't remember his name, but the person who was
It was Craig
covering
Irvine.
Craig Irvine.
Yeah,
No, the person who was covering Craig Irvine, the second fielder. When he
yeah.
threw the ball, he threw it to the wicket keeper instead of the bowler, and the baller's stumps were much closer to him, which was a bit of an
Mm,
oddity for me because that should have been the way out. That one more
yeah.
run could have been
But
denied,
you know what?
but
It's also good they threw to the
it's
wicketkeeper.
all
You don't know if
right. I
baller
think,
fumbles. You don't know with wicketkeeper. He
yeah,
still
yeah,
have
fair
that
enough,
little bit
fair
of
enough.
surety when it
But
comes
I
to
think
that.
at the end
They
of
were
the
just
day,
playing the
one
safe.
thing that really went,
But
and there's also a
here
lot
is
of
where Craig
pressure, and
Irvine's save of 3 runs, right? He saved a
yeah,
boundary in the first ball. That's where also what comes into play. He
correct,
saved
correct.
1 run, and ultimately what you
One
win by
run.
1 run. So it's game of margins. Come on, you have to give each run its value in T20 cricket. You say, I think Bassett was the one who was commentating there. I think Bassett Ali was the one who was commentating there. He said, I'm surprised that Craig Irvine did not give up. I'm surprised that why didn't Craig Irvine give up the chase? I was a little shocked that he made such a comment while
I mean,
commentating in
I
a
can
game like that.
understand where Bus comes from. You would have hoped it would have gone to the fence,
Yeah, he
and
really hoped he would have gone to the fence, but at the same time, he was hoping that they would give up the chase because it was a long boundary, it's a tough chase. But that 1 run ultimately has saved you the game because what would have happened is I know next ball went for 4 if I'm not wrong, which Mohammad Wasim hit, but still getting Mohammad Wasim back on strike is still a better option than getting Nawaz at that
And you saw
point.
that. You saw that. I think Nawaz not getting so much strike really frustrated him. And towards the end, that's probably where he came into bat the first ball. The moment he came into bat, everyone expecting him to do the job. And the
Yeah,
first ball he got was a snorter, and the next ball he just couldn't do anything. Just sliced the ball
yeah.
up because that ball was still you could argue that ball was still there to be hit because it was not still that back of the line was a good line delivery. If another day maybe he could have come on the middle of the bat and gone over that over the fielder, but it was not to be Pakistan's day.
Absolutely. And Devan says Heather is an opener. And yeah, Heather is an opener. Heather plays top three. It's like playing KL Rahul there. See, to be very honest, KL Rahul at this form he is in. I think he doesn't even know where to play. But when it comes to Heather Ali, at least I think he should be fitted in at number 1, 2, 3, 4. I think playing him at number 6 is
But
way too
then
low for a
where do
player like
you?
Heather.
I think that's the issue with Pakistan team right now. because you have Shan Masood, who's been excellently well this year's. I mean, this
You know,
year's World Cup.
that's I
He's their
also
only
think there's a
batsman
point
who's
which
been
Aisha
so
has
up.
made, right? बाबर वन डाउन क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? सो आई थिंक इसमें भी बहुत कुछ है देखने के लिए, क्योंकि बाबर आजम के टैलेंट में जिस तरीके से प्लेयर बाबर आजम है, बाबर आजम हमेशा वन डाउन ही खेला है, मतलब वनडे क्रिकेट में भी और टेस्ट में भी वन डाउन खेलता है बाबर आजम। तो मेरे ख्याल में बाबर आजम को वन डाउन खेलना चाहिए था वर्ल्ड कप से पहले ही। अभी अभी जाके वन डाउन खेल के कोई फायदा नहीं है। इंग्लैंड सीरीज से वो टेम्पलेट सेट कर सकता था, शान मसूद को ओपन करवा के बाबर आजम वन डाउन खेल सकता था। आप देखिए तो शान मसूद का रिकॉर्ड ओपनर के मतलब बहुत अच्छा है, और वार्म अप मैच में भी इंग्लैंड के खिलाफ कुछ 30-40 रन मारे थे, और पाकिस्तान कितना मारा था मेरे हिसाब से तो हैदर और शान ओपन किए थे 6 ओवर में कुछ 80
45 समथिंग के स्कोर,
नहीं नहीं
45 है।
नहीं 50 के ऊपर मारे थे, 50-60 के ऊपर तो मारे थे उस मैच में। और वो इंटेंट काफी सही था, क्योंकि शान के पास क्या कि शान अच्छी तरीके से बाउंसर को खेल सकता है, और शान के बैकफुट गेम भी काफी अच्छा है। तो यही प्रॉब्लम है, ये पाकिस्तान टीम मैनेजमेंट को आइडेंटिफाई करना चाहिए था वर्ल्ड कप से पहले ही, पर अभी तो बहुत बहुत लेट हो चुका है। अभी बाबर जाके वन डाउन के शायद इस वर्ल्ड कप के बाद कुछ ट्राई कर सकते हैं। मेरे को सब बोल रहे हैं कि रिजवान और बाबर बहुत अच्छी पेयर है और इतना रन मार सकता है, पर देख कंडीशन के हिसाब से खेलना चाहिए। अगले T20 वर्ल्ड कप वेस्ट इंडीज में है, उधर भी उतना आसान नहीं होने वाला, क्योंकि वेस्ट इंडीज कंडीशन भी अभी रिसेंट पास में तो सीपीएल में भी बहुत कुछ मिल रहा है। मेरे ख्याल से अगले वर्ल्ड कप के लिए आजम खान को लेके आना चाहिए, कुछ भी करे आजम खान को लेके आना ही आना चाहिए, क्योंकि आजम खान के रिकॉर्ड सीपीएल में काफी अच्छा है। आजम खान ऐसा एक मिडिल ऑर्डर बल्लेबाज है क्या पाकिस्तान के लिए चाहिए भी इस वक्त, क्योंकि आजम खान के पास पावर हिटिंग एबिलिटी भी है, और आजम खान के पास अच्छी अच्छी टेक्निक भी है। ऐसे नहीं है कि आंखें मारता है, पर शायद आजम खान बारबाडोस रॉयल्स के लिए खेला था इस सीपीएल में, और काफी अच्छा खेला था बारबाडोस रॉयल्स के। रकीम कॉर्नवॉल और आजम खान ने बहुत ही अच्छे पार्टनरशिप साझेदारी किए थे सीपीएल में। तो मेरे ख्याल से आजम खान को लेके आना चाहिए वो वर्ल्ड कप के बाद। अभी बहुत लेट हो चुका है। मैं भी काफी सरप्राइज था जब आजम खान का नाम नहीं आता वर्ल्ड कप T20 स्क्वाड में, रिजर्व में भी नहीं था। और इफ्तिकार के पास गए, शान मसूद के पास गए, फकर जमान के पास गए, जो फकर जमान बाउंस के खिलाफ काफी बुरा है। और मेरे को पता नहीं फकर जमान को फिर से वापस टीम में लेके आया जब वो रिजर्व में था पहले। तो काफी प्रॉब्लम थे पाकिस्तान टीम के लिए वर्ल्ड कप से पहले, एंड दैट्स जस्ट गॉन अप। व्हाट डू यू हैव टू से अबाउट दैट, जन?
हाँ, आई थिंक आजम खान है भी एक मिडिल ऑर्डर बैट्समैन है, वो प्योरली मिडिल ऑर्डर बैट्समैन है। अगर आप आई थिंक देवान का पॉइंट सही है एकदम, क्योंकि अगर आप मिडिल ऑर्डर ओपनर्स को मिडिल ऑर्डर में खिलाएंगे तो वो उतना अच्छे से नहीं खेल पाएंगे, क्योंकि उनका रोल ही वैसा है, उनको आदत ही है वैसे खेलने की। जब एक प्लेयर आपके जहन में आता है कि वो, और आप उनको आई मीन आपको उनका टैलेंट दिखता है, तो वो एक पर्टिकुलर रोल में आपको उसका टैलेंट दिखता है। अगर वो ओपनर की मतौर आया है इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट या फिर आपके बोर्ड के ध्यान में, तो फिर वो ओपनर ही अच्छा खेलेगा, उसका
आप
बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस ही
वार्म
ओपनर।
मैच भी देखिएगा तो अच्छी साझेदारी किए थे शान के साथ हैदर जब
एग्जैक्टली
ओपनिंग किए।
एग्जैक्टली।
उसके मतलब नहीं कि रिजवान और बाबर ओपनिंग ही नहीं करना चाहिए, एक बंदे को ओपनिंग करना तो एक बंदे वन डाउन आ सकता है, क्योंकि वो स्टेबिलिटी भी देता है और बैटिंग ऑर्डर को लंबा भी खींचता है।
एंड मुझे लगता है कि रिजवान बाबर से ज्यादा सूटेड है थोड़ा लोअर डाउन आने के लिए, क्योंकि आई थिंक मुझे लगता है बाबर को वो स्टार्टिंग चाहिए रहता है, जहाँ पे फील्डर्स पीछे नहीं रहते, जहाँ पे वो बॉल थोड़ा नया रहता है, क्योंकि उसको क्लासिक स्ट्रोक्स खेलने में बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा लगता है, उसका कवर ड्राइव हो ये सब बॉल अगर वो मिडिल ओवर्स में खेलने आएगा, तो फिर प्रॉब्लम ये हो जाती है कि फिर वो बाउंड्री बॉल शॉट्स नहीं होते, वो बस सिंगल और डबल हो जाते हैं अगर वो कवर ड्राइव खेलेगा या कट खेलेगा या स्ट्रेट डाउन द ग्राउंड खेलेगा। बट रिजवान में वो ताकत है, वो पावर है कि वो बाउंड्री क्लियर कर सके। वो अलग बात है कि रिजवान का भी रिकॉर्ड अच्छा नहीं है ऑस्ट्रेलिया में। आई थिंक बाबर और रिजवान का परफॉर्मेंस बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्ट कर रहा है पाकिस्तान को, और हमको पता भी है कि जब बाबर और रिजवान खेलते हैं एक साथ, या उनमें से कोई एक भी खेल लेता है 10वें ओवर तक, तो पाकिस्तान टीम बहुत स्ट्रांग लगती है। बट जैसे ही वो दोनों जल्दी या फिर पावर प्ले में आउट हो जाते हैं, तो पाकिस्तान टीम की बैटिंग की ना कमर टूट जाती है एक तरीके से।
Like, this was always going to be a two-member team leading into this World Cup in the batting front, at least.
Yeah.
Whatever they got out of Shan is definitely a huge bonus, and they'll take a lot of positives out of it as a team. But when it comes to the middle order, it's a huge hole for them. You still need players to fill those holes. As Aisha was saying, they give them Sky. What Sky has done to this team India, if I have to just shift focus from this game to the game which happened earlier today, see, Sky has given India that stability now.
Yeah.
Now, Sky and Virat's partnership has become iconic in a lot of ways. Surveer is a name which he has brought in as well. Now they're putting in 50 plus partnerships in almost every game. They're complementing each other. There's a bridge
Yes,
between middle order and top order. That is Sky and Virat. And from Sky, it goes to
I think
Hardik Pandya and then Dinesh
correct,
Karthik.
correct. And
So
the
you need a vital
transition,
cog in the middle.
yeah, yeah. And you
So
have,
Sky is
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
Good,
Abel, go
good.
ahead.
So I was
Yeah,
just
so
saying that Sky is such an important player or that persona in the Indian team who can really take the up the ante. Today also, if you see, when Sky came into bat, there was a sudden shift of gears because what Sky
yes,
brings is that
yes.
he can come in and change the match in no time. That's what you need. You need a player who can come and change the match on its own. There's a reputation which he carries. There's a certain way in which he bats, and that's exactly what Pakistan is also missing. They need a player like Surya Kumar Yadav, and they need to really identify a player like him to put him in at that slot and give him that role clarity. You're going to bat number 4, not anywhere there or here. They've used a lot of floaters. Jen, we've seen that in T20 cricket. When you try a lot of floaters time and time again, there's no role clarity.
Yeah, yeah. And there is one thing about floaters. They are a way to win matches. They are a way to surprise players. But you shouldn't surprise your own players as to where you're gonna bat. And it almost seems to an extent that Pakistan is picking up drawing lots sometimes. To see who goes to bat first. And that's never helpful because cricket is one sport where you need slightly a bit of rigidity, and that kind of rigidity helps go forward. And that's something that you see in cricket a lot more often. Teams that are, for example, I mean, being a CSK fan, I'll keep going back to that example. CSK or Mumbai, also another example from the IPL, are two teams which love to have one batting order or one bowling plans, which are not very different. Of course, they use different plans for different players. They're adaptable, but their default setting, the players know their roles, and that's where these teams have done well in IPL. Or if you look at India, for instance, now what you're seeing is, we did speak about India, how they were reversing roles a lot more. But leading up to this tournament, one thing that they have done also, there was a conversation where the bowling coach of India also said, we are not going to shift teams. Every match in the World Cup is important, and that's where, and they have decided that this is the way we're going, and they're not changing a lot unless the situation really demands.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to have a default setting where you go, and that's where I think Pakistan is shuffling way too much. And there's a reason for that, Abel, because there are so many holes in the middle order, and you're trying to remove one piece of puzzle to cover that one hole, and from the person you have removed, that person leaves another void. And this kind of shuffling really doesn't help Pakistan. And I really
Yeah.
urge the fans and the media to not go hard at this team, because this team has done well. They have won a tri-series in New Zealand. They have came to the
See,
finals of the
Pakistan are
Asian Cup.
still not out of the World Cup. If I have to say that
Exactly,
one
and they
time.
are not out of the World
See,
Cup.
to
So
be
you,
honest, what has done is that result of South Africa or Zimbabwe has gone Pakistan's favor in a lot of ways. So
yeah,
now
yeah,
what's there is that even if Pakistan go on to defeat South Africa and South Africa lose to India, and if Pakistan win all the remaining matches, they're still in the hunt to go to the semi-finals. So they're not out of the World Cup. They're still
yeah.
there in with a chance. So they really don't have to be going against this team at this very point. They still have to give this team a lot of time. I think they should be able to
Yeah,
be able to receive this kind of criticism and the result. I don't know how well they'll be playing in South Africa. I think it's going to favor them a lot more because it's in Sydney. You saw Sydney's wicket today already. It's a slower wicket compared to any other wicket in Australia,
and
and
it's the
it's going to
best
suit
batting pitch
Pakistan a
as
lot
well.
more.
Leading up to this tournament, it's probably the best batting pitch.
Yeah, same thing, same thing. I would say in one way or the other, Sydney pitch will suit Pakistan a lot more compared to any
Yeah,
other wicket. So Pakistan is still not out of it. Pakistan is still in the hunt. As a team, this is where you need to regroup. It's okay, one loss, two losses in a row. Just put that behind and now focus on what you can do right. For South Africa, they'll be really rooting for India now. Pakistan will be really hoping that India is the one team who really goes past. India wins all their matches without even faltering one. So which means that South Africa are put vulnerable. Now, what happens in South Africa was a Pakistan game is that it gives Pakistan an opportunity to go up against South Africa, who will be having maybe 2 to 3 wins by then. But then what's going to happen is that now South Africa has games against Netherlands, Zimbabwe, India, Pakistan. If they lose two of them, they will be having 3 wins, and they'll be having how many? I think they'll be having 3 wins, 2 losses, if I'm not wrong.
yeah.
Pakistan
3 wins,
also in a
two
similar.
losses, and then one tied. Not tied, but one match which is rained out.
Absolutely. Now for Pakistan, they have games against Netherlands, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, and South Africa. Same thing. If Pakistan win
No,
next
no,
four of their
not
games,
Zimbabwe. It's Netherlands, Bangladesh,
Netherlands,
and South
Bangladesh,
Africa.
South Africa. So they have 3 games left. They have 3 games left. South Africa have 3 games left, if I'm not wrong. And it's going to be all up to South Africa. South Africa, if they lose their next 2 games, they're also going to be under pressure. Let's be very honest. If they lose to Pakistan and India, it's not going to be easy for them because there was a shared point game against Zimbabwe, which means that has really put South Africa also under pressure. Now they'll have to win up against India, they'll have to win against Pakistan as well. So you have to see from that perspective as well for you to qualify into semi-final. But I'm not sure Pakistan will go all the way. This Pakistan team, I really don't think, if they qualify for semi-final, they'll be up against a very strong team coming from the other end. They'll be up against a team like Australia or New Zealand team who will be really, seething at that point, who might have even topped the group. So it's not going to be easy run for Pakistan to go on to win the championship as such. But now for Pakistan, it's to reboot, just put all these things behind, maybe even look beyond the World Cup. There's a lot to be blamed. There's not a lot to be blamed when it comes on team selection. I thought there were some poor tactical calls. But when it comes to bowling, there's a huge positive for Pakistan. Pakistan looks like one of the best bowling units of this World Cup, isn't it?
And that's because of Spurs Stadium, we were having a conversation, and I spoke about how, this could be the match where Pakistani fast bowlers could blow away Zimbabwe, and it almost did happen. When they started bowling the correct lengths on the pitch, that's when Pakistani fast bowlers really turned up. One big miss has been Shaheen Shah Afridi. He himself has come out to say that he's not in rhythm after the injury. It will take time as a fast bowler, and we discussed this as well. We did tell everyone that Shaheen Shah Afridi, it'll take him time to come back from the injury. You can't bank on him to be as great, against India as he was in the previous World Cup, because not just India, but as good as he was in the previous World Cup, because of the fact that he's coming from an injury, and it can happen to any bowler. We've seen that to happen to Indian bowlers as well. We saw Jasprit Bumrah when he came back from that injury in the brief spell, did not look the part at all, and KL Rahul too struggled. So these kind of things happen. But aside from that, Mohammad Wasim and Naseem Shah has not had a good day today, but I think Mohammad Wasim Jr. and Naseem Shah, two big finds for them this World Cup, I would say, and previously as well. Of course, we had some doubts about the fact that Dahani was not part of the squad, but Wasim Jr. has really proven to everyone that he could be the person, or he is the person to go forward. Also because of his batting capabilities, as Abel said. There is a sort of balance that comes to this Pakistani team. But that being said, they should really start looking at batters who are specialist middle order batters in their team. Azam Khan is a very good person to try out. He is someone, I know there might be some fitness issues when it comes to him, but I think that's something you can work with him. But you really need a batsman like him who's very good in the middle order, because I think Pakistan has a lot of batters who want to bat in the top order. But for me, at least personally, Rizwan and Babar are my opening pair, and they will be. The reason for that, when they get going, they can win you matches single-handedly. And that's what you've seen. You saw them have 200 partnerships in T20 matches. You don't see that most often than not. That's very difficult to string
and
together.
They put on 700 runs stand in their career. And that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't think any other opening pair in the history has done that.
When they bat together, when they both open, even if one of them gets out, the other plays an anchor role, which really saves Pakistan a lot of blushes. Today, for instance, if Rizwan or Babar had gone on to play an innings of 50 or 60, you would have seen them actually score 20-30 runs more, and they would have won them the match. But, potentially finish the match in the 17th, 18th over. But because they didn't get going, I can understand that there are questions. But this is where I really urge the Pakistani fans not to go after this team, not to question a lot of things that management has done. You can criticize them, but don't call their heads yet. Because I think this team is still growing. Babar Azam has done a great job as a captain. And that's one of the things that I've always felt about Pakistan. Pakistan's unpredictability comes to a very good extent. The pressure
to be very honest, what Babar Azam has done is he's brought a certain amount of trust and transparency in the dressing room, which Pakistan lacked over decades.
I mean, you guys remember very well post the 2011 World Cup, and even after, not just post 2011 World Cup, but ever since Sarfraz Ahmed was removed from captaincy, there was so much issues in the dressing room, and Pakistani team was struggling to win matches. But this team has started to look like a winning team. Australia is a frontier where even best of Pakistani T20 teams have not conquered. So you can't exactly blame this team. This team is by far not at all one of the best Pakistani teams.
I think it's still a condition-based team. It's still not an all condition-based team.
Exactly. And
this team will do well in England. It will do well in New Zealand, but Australia is one place it's tough. Maybe even South Africa, I'll add to that.
I think that's where you needed someone like Shoaib Akhtar. I mean, not Shoaib Akhtar, sorry. Shoaib Malik, beg your pardon.
Shoaib Malik's record in Australia is also pretty poor.
Yeah, but he has the experience. He has at least experience.
But I think it's time for Pakistan to look ahead. maybe not to go to a
Maybe, yeah, but
40-year-old at this
he
age.
could be that one person who could have covered these middle order problems,
Yeah,
you know.
they can possibly invest in them. I know they've got a very good league in PSL
But
now. They can invest in players, look for
yeah,
these middle order bats. At least don't put them all in opening and at least in PSL. Put them in tough situations in the middle order in PSL. See how they respond. That's how you create build players and give them a long longevity in Pakistan team when it comes to
yes.
that. As well, and look into the domestic players. Give importance to the domestic T20 leagues, not just
And
PSL. Look who are these players who are doing well
I think
domestically.
even, you know, when we saw, for example, when IPL came into when IPL came in, right, we saw a lot of spinners coming in and a lot of what we expected from India. That's where the players came in, and fast bowlers, foreign fast bowlers used to be sold for higher prices. But now what we're seeing as IPL has evolved, even Indian fast bowlers are coming in because these franchises themselves invest on the ground level. And I'm sure when PSL keeps developing and developing, as I mean, it's been a great run for PSL. But as PSL develops, you will see these middle order batters come in,
Absolutely, I
or
totally agree with you on this.
yeah, and I
I
think that's
think
where
I
you
think you
knew.
can send in message. You can send in message to franchise as a Pakistan cricket board as to we are looking at middle order bats.
Yeah,
Give them opportunity. And I'm pretty sure once you start grooming players in a couple of years' time, you will find a couple of players who can fill in the role at number 5, number 6 for Pakistan. At least don't go to your all rounders who are floaters at number 5, number 6. Shadab at number 5 is okay, but he's still not a permanent solution for you to win a T20 World Cup or to win matches in T20 cricket. Teju says, what I've just seen, never thought Pak could lose to Zimbabwe. See, for Pakistan, the road ahead is long. It's not easy for Pakistan after the loss. And to be honest, we have to give credit to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe was just spectacular tonight. I think this victory is going to give them a lot of boost in their confidence. I don't know how far they'll go. They're well in with a chance of winning as well. You don't know how far they can take this. They've
they
conquered one
are.
big opposition. They tied up against South Africa. Even if they lose to India, and if they win the next 3 games, I think they are in with it. They can go through to the next round. To be
Yeah, and
honest,
that's if India beats South Africa and I mean Zimbabwe wins, maybe let's say the next three matches. You know, that is Netherlands, Bangladesh, and not Bangladesh, right? And India.
yeah.
I mean, India probably you expect India to win that match, but if he wins those two matches and South Africa is beaten by India and Pakistan, then you never know.
there's another
I
there's
think
another there's another team who's there. We all know about South Africa, Pakistan, Zimbabwe. We did say yesterday, how about a Zimbabwe
imagine.
with Ireland
I mean,
semi-final?
yeah, imagine Zimbabwe Ireland semi-final. I mean that won't be mostly possible because these two teams will end probably the
Yeah,
second
yeah.
spot.
Now second
But
position. But
imagine
come
them being
on,
in the
man.
semi-final.
If one
And
underdog makes to this World Cup
yeah,
semi-final, I think this will be a huge success story of the game of cricket in itself. Let it be
yeah,
Ireland, let it be Zimbabwe, one underdog. I just want one underdog to make it to the semi-final.
and
I don't want all because
Zimbabwe.
we all are waiting South Africa, India, England, Australia.
Correct.
But there you are. Zimbabwe isn't with a chance. Let's not write them off. If South Africa loses to Pakistan and India, and if Zimbabwe goes on to win Bangladesh, Netherlands, and I think they've got a game against who do they
Bangladesh,
have a game against? Uh,
Bangladesh, India,
Bangladesh, Netherlands. Yeah, that's it. If they win next 2 games,
Bangladesh,
because
India, and
they had a tie against South Africa, they'll be better up on the points table. Oh
yeah.
my God!
And you know
Now
what?
that is something which I'm
In
excited for.
And you know what? South and I at least point, I think Aisha to answer Aisha's question, and even to further our discussion, I think Pakistan and Zimbabwe's friends could be Rain and India at this point. You
Yeah,
want India,
they'll have to
Pakistanis
root for
will have to
India.
cheer for India.
I mean,
Hope
to be
India
honest, you
wins
already
all the
saw
matches.
Pakistan fans were on the ground cheering for Virat Kohli. I mean, a lot of Pakistanis from Sydney went to watch Virat Kohli bat. Virat Kohli has created this wave across Pakistan and
And there
India.
were Virat Kohli jerseys, Pakistani jerseys with Virat Kohli
I
on
mean,
them.
I'm pretty sure. I
Yeah,
mean, he always had the fandom, but then he's becoming the bridge between the two countries, which is just fascinating to see. I
correct,
love
correct.
that. That's what sport does to you. If there's a global icon, Cristiano Ronaldo is supported everywhere across the world. He's from Portugal.
Yeah,
That doesn't
yeah.
mean the rivals of Portugal doesn't support him or like him. So that's what you want to see in sport.
I mean,
You
there's
adore a
a
player.
talking about Cristiano Ronaldo just to put more emphasis. There's a statue of him in Goa where I think Ronaldo has never been to Goa. That's a kind
Yeah.
of that is a kind of impact a sportsman can have. And Virat Kohli loved in Australia, loved in loved in Australia, loved in Pakistan.
Yeah, same
Uh,
thing. I
so
personally love
he
Babar
had that
Azam bat.
kind of
Same thing, for me, I personally love Babar Azam, but I rate him very highly. I
yeah.
kind of idolize him as well as a batter. He's got one of the most purest technique out there in the modern day game. Whatever you criticize of him in T20 cricket, but he as a batter is just prolific. You have to give credit where it's due. I think there's a lot more ahead for Babar Azam. He's still a very young lad, you know. I think his peak is yet to come. And
Hmm.
I know today he'll receive a lot of flack, but I believe he's a very strong guy. He's a very strong
Yeah.
guy. Whatever responsibility is given, he's been given by this board. I hope Pakistan board persist with him. Ramiz Raja understands him, persist with this lad, because I see a lot of positives from him. There's only good things to talk about them. I
Yeah.
know Pakistan media will have a lot of negativity to spread about him, but I'm totally against it. There's a lot of good things about him. People are already saying Rizwan should be taking over. Even as Indian team, we already saw that with Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, one should take over, one should. But let me be very honest, right? Babar Azam is still the right candidate for the job, is what I believe. But if Pakistan board wants to go to some other person, let it be. It can go, but they should go to a person who they feel can unify the dressing room, which I think Babar has done brilliantly. See, Babar as an analytical captain is still way behind. He still has a long way to learn in T20 format, especially when it comes to taking these tactical calls. That's the only criticism which I have for Babar Azam. But as a team manager, as a person to unify the dressing room, I really rate Babar very highly, which Pakistan cricket team was lacking. So he set the base for it. Now whoever will come to replace him in the future, I hope they carry on from there.
I think that's been the that has been the crime, I would say, that Pakistani cricket board and Pakistan media does against their players. It's sports at the end of the day. I know you've lost to Zimbabwe and that will really hurt all the Pakistani fans, but these are the kind of moments where you should really support your team and your
Yeah.
players. And
But
I
I'm just
understand
hoping that Zimbabwe will
criticizing.
go through the semi-final. I
I
just
me
want
too. I
them
mean,
to
that'll be
do it.
such a story. That'll be such a story. Me too. I'm pretty, impressed by the Zimbabwe team because this team is
They
really
deserve
turning
it.
things around.
You know
And
when
Zimbabwe, once upon a
Sikandar
time,
Zaza,
for those of you
yeah,
who know, Zimbabwe once upon a time was a better team than India,
yeah,
and
they were,
they've
they were,
really
they were.
come down a lot. Lot of internal politics and the sports,
Yeah,
taking
absolutely.
backseat, instability in the government. All lot of factors are there.
A lot
Zimbabwe
of things
cricket, to be very
factor
honest,
in. Let's
is
be
a
honest, this
tragedy.
team did not have money to provide kits for this for
Yeah,
its
yeah,
team
Ryan Byrne.
a
I
couple of
remember
years
that
ago.
tweet. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
but it's been this kind of I think if you really are a cricket fan, you're really into cricket history. Zimbabwean cricket history is a tragedy. To be very honest, from where they
yeah,
were
politics also
to
was a
where they
huge
have
part of
come,
it.
there were a lot of things were involved in it. It's a very interesting read. I would say if you are really interested, go and read. We are obviously not have the time here in this life to cover it, but what they're really doing is they're making a comeback, and it's not easy,
They
because
are, they are.
they don't have the kind of sponsors, the kind of support. Even the country's economy itself is not as booming as some of the other countries. So
Yeah.
this is a very great. It's a win that will be celebrated everywhere. I think
And
someone
this will
mentioned
be
in the
etched in history for
yeah, yeah,
Zimbabwe. The last few months for Zimbabwe has been great. For them to come
yeah,
to Australia to defeat Australia, that was a big win, though they lost that series. And from there on to give fight to India. Then they went on to defeat Sri Lanka, defeating Bangladesh. So it's been a good journey for Zimbabwean cricket at large, to take on the big boys of cricket.
yeah,
And today is one of the greatest moments of Zimbabwe cricket. I don't know if how far they'll go in the tournament, but if they go on to the semi-final, which it's in their touching hands, they've taken down two giants. They've taken down South Africa, which their luck favored them. They've taken down Pakistan now. Now, what's in their hand is to go and defeat Bangladesh, which I believe they have the talent to do it.
they have,
They
they
have the
have.
talent to defeat Netherlands, and I believe they have the talent to defeat who else is there in the group? I think that's it. Defeat Bangladesh and Netherlands, and they are through. And
And
I
I
don't
think
know how
they're
far they
going to
can
be
put up
playing
against
in.
India.
They're going to be playing the match against Bangladesh in Gaba, which is not going to be easy for Bangladesh to face this same level of fast bowling. Today we saw they had no answers. Even Shakib Al Hassan, for all of his experience, struggled against the quality
Yeah,
pacemen of South Africa. So, and there is this thing about, I think, South Africa and Zimbabwe look two very driven teams. The way South Africa turned up today, it felt like they wanted to, end the match as fast as possible. They were not just to win it. They were there to win it grand, and that's what they did today. And
yeah. There's a lot
Zimbabwe,
of rage from that Zimbabwe
yeah, yeah.
result which
And we
was
saw in the
there.
first match as well, when the rain came in, Quinton de Kock came in blazing. 47 of 18 balls in 4 overs. I think they were only 51 runs,
Yeah,
and
you
they
don't
needed a
want to be
full.
running into the South African team at this point. If it's
Yeah,
India or
and
Pakistan,
I'm
you
worried.
don't want
I'm
to be running into the
really
team.
worried for India facing them in Perth after seeing what happened today. What South Africa did to,
I
of
think
course,
if
South
one
Africa
team
did
who
to
can really
Bangladesh.
take on the South African team with given their batting ability, it's India because
It
Indians
is.
love
It
these
is. It
conditions.
is. Of course, it
So
is. But I mean we will cover it whenever the moment
I
comes.
think
But
once again it's going to be up to Virat Kohli, to really step up in that
yeah,
game. And he loves this country. He loves Perth. He loves the conditions
I
out there.
think him and
And
probably I also
Rohit
count him
Sharma.
in Suryakumar Yadav because he also
And
has
yeah,
a good
I
record
think.
against some of the South African bowlers. So
Hmm.
he could be another player, but that's something
Yeah,
we'll discuss later on. But
I think as we are already there 1 hour
Zimbabwe,
into the show, let's throw some light. How long a rope do you give to KL Rahul? I mean, it's a question. And today he was unlucky. I'll say today he was very unlucky. No, he could
I
have
mean,
gone
to
for
be
the
very
review.
honest, it was Scale's fault. I mean, it was Scale Rahul's fault. Rohit Sharma
Yeah.
was ready to take the review.
But
He
let's
was
be
the
very
one.
honest, whatever he was batting on the crease, I know it was a tough pitch, it was a very slow pitch, but he was not giving you any confidence as an opener. Let's be very honest. Today, you saw Zimbabwean openers go for hit 24 runs for Pakistani bowlers, which KL Rahul was really shivering at a point to really take on the Pakistani bowlers. So
It
there
looked
are
like
issues with KL Rahul. There's a mental block with them at this
yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah. I think him not going for that review kind of made me feel like he is in a bit of in a bit of negative space. I mean, we don't know what KL Rahul is in KL Rahul's mind, and this is all my interpretation of what I'm seeing on the pitch. But you expect 9 out of 10 times a batsman to go for it because that seemed at least at best umpire's call, and Rohit Sharma was pretty confident on the other end. So 9 out of 10 times you don't see 9 out of 10 times you don't see your non-striker being this confident, but Rohit Sharma was pretty confident, and he was the one urging KL Rahul to take a review, but him not taking a review kind of makes me feel maybe he's in that negative
Yeah,
space
he
also.
is. Totally is.
Maybe
I mean, you don't want a player like this. At this point, it's better to
yeah.
really give him a. I really hope he gets a good knocking in South Africa. But if he's failing there, it's better you tell him to take rest, man. Bring in
And
Rishabh Pant.
maybe if he doesn't do well against South Africa, India does have maybe an option is Rishabh Pant at the top of the
Or
order.
maybe even try Deepak Hooda. Deepak Hooda opened the batting
Deepak
against South
Hooda,
Africa in Thailand.
I mean, I would say Rishabh Pant, and the reason I feel is because these kind of he loves Australia.
He
Rishabh
loves
Pant and
Australia.
Australia is another love story, and
Yeah.
if Australians cannot adopt Virat Kohli, they still probably want to adopt Rishabh Pant. That's the kind
Yeah.
of love story
Yeah.
he has
There's a
with
lot of
Australia.
fandom
And
for Rishabh Pant there.
one thing about
And I
Rishabh
think
Pant
he's
that
a
we
player for
saw,
big occasions. Rishabh
yeah,
Pant has
yeah,
always
yeah,
stepped up in big occasions. Let's be
and
IPL qualifiers, let's be IPL final, Gabba on the last day. Rishabh Pant is a
yeah.
man for big occasions. He loves the big occasions. Even last year against Pakistan, when they were 3 down, it was Virat Kohli and Rishabh Pant who tried to stable the ship there. So
Hmm.
it is always Rishabh Pant who loves the big occasion. He's a man for big ones. And that's why I really backed him. People write him off so early, but him in opening position, I really love him. He opened the batting for India under 19 World Cup. I remember Mustafizur Rahman. He was in form of his life in 2016 IPL. One batter who came opening the batting and took Mustafizur to the long on region to hit him over square leg was Rishabh Pant. So I really don't mind him seeing opening the batting with Rohit Sharma, to be honest.
Yeah, and maybe if not KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant, because it's left hand right hand combination A, and also him the kind of the way he's playing right now, you see him playing an aggressive knock, you see him taking the ballers down, and that'll really give Rohit Sharma some space, where he can settle down. Rohit Sharma loves batting with such players.
Yeah.
Whenever for example, Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, the reason why they go so well is because Quinton de Kock loved to take ballers early on, and Rohit Sharma would get that space to settle in. And you see throughout the IPL, whenever he's open with someone who plays this aggressively, Rohit Sharma's done well. And that's where Rishabh Pant can be a very good option. And another reason I would say Rishabh Pant is, as you're right, he is a man for big occasions. When you say come at the man, come at the hour, Rishabh Pant has done that for India quite a lot. He's improved a lot more, and I really am seeing Rishabh Pant. I've seen Rishabh Pant really not being the same player he was when he initially came in the T20 format. That is, I think Rishabh Pant wants a bit of time, wants some amount of time to really get going, and an opener's position can give
I
him
mean,
that.
there's no other better country to throw Rishabh Pant than Australia. He'd rather
Yeah,
prefer playing here
yeah.
than anywhere else. You saw in the
And
test
Rishabh
match.
Pant solidified himself as a test batter in Australia, where he
Yeah.
became the number one wicketkeeper choice for India. He loves Australia.
Yeah, I totally think he can really go after Rabada and Nokia because he's got that
Yeah.
ability to play the back foot game. He's got one of the best back foot games in India. You know how good he is in test matches.
He plays the
Even in South
most
Africa.
absurd shots off the back foot.
And once he gets in, he can take down any ballers as well. He's very good against left arm spin. He can if he sees any left arm spin ball at him, he can take them on. He can take down any leg spinners as well. So that's where you really think Rishabh Pant is a bigger player for the bigger occasion. And if next match I don't see anything out of KL Rahul, I think you should drop him. Mentally for him, it's just then pushing his luck. Then you're trying your luck that he comes good against Bangladesh or Zimbabwe, then hoping that, one game he'll have in the semi-final, final, which I don't think will happen. Semi-final, final is a bigger pressure for him. He'll have bigger pressure of performing. That's why you want someone to say that, see, Rishabh, you have nothing to lose over here. Just go out,
Yeah,
smash your way out. And
absolutely.
that's
And
why
that's
Rishabh Pant is most dangerous.
and maybe you're right. At least what India can do is, if not against, I think against South Africa, at least you give him a chance. I mean, to be very honest,
Yeah, yeah. Let's be
I would
very
love
honest.
to take some, I would love
Let's
to take
be
some batting
honest.
tips from Babar
Stop
Azam.
criticizing Babar Azam or anyone.
Yeah.
Every team goes through this. Our country, I've seen India go through this last year. I think you should
I
take it
mean,
World Cup. Now every year you have a World Cup. So just say this just went off from your hand. Focus on the next 2023 World Cup, which is just 1 year away. That's a one-day World Cup. 2024 is not so far away. Let's be honest. It's in a couple of years' time. You have one in West Indies. It's going to be USA and West Indies. So not a bad place. Pakistan has done well in West Indies in T20 format, and there are some players in CPL who have done well, like Imad Wasim, a player whom you can consider for the next CPL, for the next T20 World Cup.
yeah.
Azam Khan, we already took his name. So there are a lot of players who you can consider. One tournament, it's okay. I still think Pakistan is still in there with the hunt,
Yeah.
provided results go their way, like India was last time around in the World Cup. But let's be honest, it's too much to be burning his poster or throwing things at him.
Yeah.
He's way too. He's done so much for your country. You can't do this to him now.
And I think Babar Azam is one player who really learns on the job very quickly. I mean, when he came on initially, he wasn't as good a test player as he is now. He's really improved, he's really grown, and he is growing as a captain. You see him improving a lot more. When initially he was the captain of Pakistan, he took over. He was not at all doing well, and Pakistani media were all over him, saying, he isn't doing anything, or he isn't aggressive, or he isn't in the face, and his team is very laid back. But now those are the same qualities that have brought this team here, are doing they're doing well. And as I'm saying again, I think Australia is one place where you can really give some leeway to Pakistan. And this is not by far the best Pakistani T20 team ever in the history of Pakistan's T20. But we have seen better teams come to Australia and fail. So this team is still learning. This team is still young. Only thing you need as a cricket board is to back your players. Because if you change too much, if you change a lot of things, that never helps. That is antithetical to growth, because you're going back to square one, and then again the whole process starts. So I think you should believe in the process. And next year World Cup, if Pakistan is able to come to India, rather if Pakistani cricket board comes to India,
I think they will.
and they will do well in that World Cup, I feel, because Indian conditions are a lot more suited to
I mean,
Pakistani
it's a
players
different
than
format
Australia.
altogether, so I don't know how it's going
It's
to
a
work
different
there. But
format as well.
I expect them to
But
go deep in the World Cup.
you would expect them to do a lot better than what they're doing right now in
They
Australia.
should make it to semifinals. If I am not wrong,
Yeah.
it's a round robin, so you can make it top four and still qualify to semifinals. So you should be able to make it to the top four. I don't see them not doing it. Tanya says that whilst everyone is going at them, you folks are understanding how sport works. That's why I prefer watching you. Okay. Okay, thank you, Tanya, for that, because it's very important to understand how sport works, right? Sport is not all about success. You need some bit of luck going your way, and that's why if luck would have gone South Africa's way, they would have at least had two World Cups in their
You
hand
would
at
have
this
been top
point.
of the table right now.
Yeah,
Pretty easy.
and let's be honest, luck is such an important factor in sport. At the same time, you need to also understand sport has got two extremes to it. There is success and there is failures
Yeah.
as well. Now it's about how Pakistan team comes out of it. They smell success in the last World Cup, though they got out of the semifinals. They had a brilliant campaign. I'd say, except for Matthew Wade's brilliance, they had a brilliant campaign until then. They were one of the favorites to go on to win the cup. But there are two ways to it. For India, the last 9 years, they've had a lot more failures. They've had great tournaments, but they've failed in the important occasion. But then what? You stop playing cricket? You don't. Sport is all about waiting for the occasions. The good things will come to you when you wait.
Yeah, and especially at the top level, you don't see this kind of dominance of one team anyway, because all the teams have every facility to do well. There's no
And especially in this
competitive
format.
advantage
This
as well.
format is such.
Especially T20. T20 is, I don't think Zimbabwe could ever beat Pakistan in the next 5 years in a one-day format, because you've
Yeah.
got more time, you've got more place, there's more challenge. But 120 balls, anything can happen, because one ball, a mistake here, a mistake there can really cost a team. Today we saw, for example, I think the greatest example is the 20th over first ball. If the ball had gone to the fence, today we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would have said, okay, Pakistan's got to win finally under the belt. So that's how narrow the margins are in a T20 match.
Yeah.
So I think it's it's I understand criticism is fair. This Pakistan team deserves quite a bit of criticism,
Yeah,
but it shouldn't be personal. And also, at the end of the day, you should allow the process to continue. If you don't, that's where things can really hinder. I mean,
yeah,
take an example of Ashwin. Ashwin, for instance, has had pretty much always been on the rougher end India Pakistan matches. Champions Trophy, he was thrashed by Fakhar Zaman and Imamul Haq. His career almost ended in white ball cricket there. And remember Shahid Afridi taking him for two sixes in the Asia Cup in the Asia Cup as well. But yes, on that day, Ashwin was the one who won you the match. His ingenuity is where really Pakistan lost the match. I mean, his ingenuity of leaving the ball. I mean, I remember Ashwin telling in an interview that when he came into bat, Virat Kohli was like, "Okay, he's darting the ball into your pads. First ball, you hit him over the covers." And
yeah.
Ashwin being
I saw
Ashwin,
the video. That's that's
that's
only
just
what
classic
Virat. I
Virat Kohli, isn't it?
remember Virat Kohli telling him the same thing. When he went, was he was South Africa? Rabada was
Yeah,
bowling. Like,
it's
full
like
mark, full
Rabada
mark.
calling toss to smack the ball out of the ground.
That's Virat
But
Kohli when he's pumped.
But
He
I
just
mean,
likes
and
to.
Ashwin also said, right? Ashwin took a gamble. Ashwin did say that if the ball had hit my pads, I would have retired from white ball cricket.
Yeah, ideally so. Another Pakistan India
And
match where Ashwin is the villain.
to be fair, I think it would have happened regardless. If this match, this would have been probably the third World Cup where if he had failed, it could have been the end of him. We could have never seen him in the World Cup evermore.
And mentally also it
That's
would have
just
been
what
really
sport
affected
is.
by
The more sport throws you down, more sport can rise. I mean, put you at a pedestal as well. You've seen
See, in
Virat Kohli in the
sports, you'll
past
have more
year.
bad days and good days. The number of
Yeah,
bad days you will have is always more than the number of good days you will have. So on
correct.
good days, you will look like a hero, but on more bad days, you don't have right to criticize it as
Yeah,
well,
it's
because
a law of
that's what
averages,
sport is all
right?
about.
And Mohammad Nawaz is a very good story as well. Mohammad Nawaz was the difference between India Pakistan in the Asia Cup, but he was a difference between India Pakistan in the last match as well. So these
I
things
thought
can really happen.
I thought Nawaz should have been a little more braver in terms of him tapping the ball. There was enough double available there. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
he should have done
He went
that.
for quite a bit of glory shots.
Glory shot, we've seen that in the World Cups. Glory shot never works. And that was brilliant, brilliant. And to end the live, I would say you saw earlier today South Africa getting a huge win against Bangladesh, India winning quite comfortably by 56 odd runs. So they are pretty fine on the table placed. Surya Kumar Yadav playing one of the best innings again. He just loves these occasions. Virat Kohli not out in the World Cup. He loves the World Cups, man. Australia World Cup, Virat Kohli. It's a marriage made in heaven. And Virat Kohli is just doing what he's doing in the T20 World Cup. He's playing an anchor's role beautifully. Rohit Sharma has scored some runs. That's going to give him a lot of confidence. KL Rahul is still an issue for Team India. When it comes to their bowling, a lot of positive signs when it comes to especially Bhuvaneshwar Kumar bowling the way he did, Arshdeep Singh coming and picking up wickets. So, but the bigger result of the day has been Pakistan versus Zimbabwe. That's why we emphasize it a lot more than the India and Netherlands game or South Africa Bangladesh game, because those two games you expected the results to go that way, but this game really turned it stable. Triple headed, you at least expected one upset, and an upset came in the most amazing way, the most fascinating way for cricket. That's why you love the sport. This World Cup
Yeah.
has been one of the best T20 World Cups in the recent past. 2014 was a very good one. You saw Netherlands defeat England, Hong Kong defeat Bangladesh, but this one has to be right up there.
2016 too, I think it was a very good one, but I think 2021 probably destroyed. Kind of. I mean, it was a dull affair, I would say.
It was a dull affair. It was a
Cup
very dull
has
affair.
really changed things out. Yeah.
It was just cup three venues, and results were pretty much predicted even before the first ball was ball, especially when it comes to
Yeah,
toss.
yeah. I think they could
So
have many of those fixtures. They could have just had the toss and just gone back. It
yeah,
was a World
absolutely.
Cup of tosses rather than a World Cup of cricket most of the
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. So, guys, if you are already here, so just subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of people joining in today. So, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and please do share it with your friends. And if we make any sense at all, so we can grow as a channel, we can bring you more content, and we can keep entertaining you. We'll always be more pragmatic in our approach. We're not gonna go out there, be like media, and to take on players and to break them open. Every team deserves its respect. Every team deserves the way it needs to be treated, because that's what sport is all about. Ultimately, you can't sit in on you can all sit in front of your keyboards and abuse players and do this and that, but that's not how it works. Once you're on the field, there'll be bad days, there'll be days where you're going to go down, but you go down as a team and you rise together as a team as well. And that's why I think Pakistan will have many good days from here on, but this is one of the days they like to forget in their cricketing history. Good night, and
Yeah.
have a good night, and have a good
Good night,
time, and
guys.
we'll be coming back in a couple of hours time at least. Maybe in 3 hours time we'll be back with a preview for tomorrow's big match. It's a mini Ashes. It's one of the biggest games of the group. I think it's a big day tomorrow. It's a sold out at MCG, 90,000
And
fans expected
tomorrow
there.
could, yeah, I mean, tomorrow could potentially decide the first semi-finalist.
Yeah, possibly the first semi-finals. We'll see who's gonna go out of the tournament. So it's come down. We all expect England, Australia qualifying, but one of the teams might be on their way out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we are still not sure. It's a crazy group there as well. I mean, this group has been opened up now. Now all of a sudden, Zimbabwe are in, Pakistan with a chance, South Africa
And
with a
it's
chance.
one group where none of the teams have 0 points. All of them have at least a point, and
Yeah,
that's what makes it so interesting. And you know
yeah,
what the best part is, right? Afghanistan, for instance, which is at the bottom of the group, is just 2 points away from New Zealand.
yeah.
So
This is
it's
one
a
of the best World Cups,
crazy.
guys. Absolutely.
It's
I
a
thought a lot of Asian teams will get a road over, but rain has also helped in a way. So you thank rain in some way or the other. Rain did not really play a spoil sport now. Looking at the entire context of things, rain gods are like, you abuse me. See, guys, this is where it is. Bami
And
Ami will be.
tomorrow, if Ireland wins, I mean, and just I think Ireland versus Afghanistan will be an interesting match because if Ireland wins, they're
Ireland
going to
playing
fight.
Afghanistan tomorrow, though.
It is tomorrow, right? Yeah, it's
It is
tomorrow in the
tomorrow.
morning. And
Okay,
if
I'm not excited.
Ireland wins, they might top the group at 5 points.
Wow.
at
Wow.
least
Who's
at
in
least
for
till
Ireland versus Zimbabwe semi-final, guys? I am in. Ireland versus Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe to the final of the World Cup. Ooh.
I would
Who's
say
excited?
Ireland and Zimbabwe won't face off most probably, but imagine if Ireland tops the group, that would be incredible.
I love
That
it.
would,
I love it. This is why I love cricket.
yeah,
Absolutely. One of the
this is
best
the reason
World
why
Cups
you
out
love
there.
sports. This is the
I'm
reason why you love sports. Sports is the
this,
greatest leveler of all.
yeah, this is one of the best World Cups. I have to give it to
Yeah,
Australia.
yeah.
Lovely,
Privileged to
lovely.
be covering it, to be very
Yeah,
honest.
privileged to be covering it, and not just that. You saw it from the very first game when the first upset happened. This World Cup was something there. There was something
Oh
for
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. All right, guys.
All
We'll
right,
be
guys.
seeing you in just a few hours.
Yeah. Bye bye.